Oh, now, I'm not Tammy Trujillo, but I'd like to consider myself to be dog's best friend. At least my dog's best friend. I have a heart, too. Now, we're going to try to get Martine Collette in her usual spot. See, this is what happens when we try to put Martine outside of her usual spot. Usually we talk to her. She's our last guest. Almost every show, we have her as our last guest. And, you know, she was doing something today, so we moved her up in the show, and, you know, it just wasn't working out. So we were going to talk to Bob Lyon as our very last guest today, but we have Bob on the phone right now. Now, he came up with a really cool product called Safety Turtle. And Bob, I got to ask, where did the name Safety Turtle come from?
My goodness, what a tough question. Well, the product has a turtle, kind of an iconic turtle.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a kid, well, not when I was a kid, when I was a parent with my kids, there was Franklin the turtle, and it seemed to be an appealing character to my children.
Mm-hmm.
And so the turtle is the icon with the wristband, and it's for purposes of safety, so Safety Turtle.
Gotcha. And what is the Safety Turtle for people who haven't heard of it?
Technically, Safety Turtle is a personal immersion alarm. That's the term that's used in the ASTM standard on pool alarms.
Mm-hmm.
So it does. It is a category of pool alarm, but its use is not obviously restricted to pools. It's any water. If the person wearing the sensor falls in the water and the sensor is immersed,
mm-hmm.
it sets off an alarm at a base station. So it's a wireless system.
And I guess the easiest metaphor for people who are still kind of hazy on this, it's kind of like a baby monitor, except instead of monitoring sounds, it monitors if the device, if it's on your child or on your dog or on your cat or what have you, it monitors if it gets submerged in water. That's the easiest way to describe it to people.
It is. Now, a baby monitor is active. It's always, like you're always listening to it, and
Mm-hmm.
so, whereas this thing is asleep, basically,
Yeah.
and only wakes up in the presence of water, and it wakes up instantly and sets off an alarm. So a baby monitor, you've got to decide there's an issue. It doesn't alarm. You're kind of listening, and no news is good news, or
Mm-hmm.
you have to interpret the news. With Safety Turtle, there's only silence or an alarm, nothing in between.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, you know, the comparison with the baby monitor, you have to remember to turn on and turn off and all that good stuff. With the Safety Turtle, is it one of those things where if I have a dog and he's in a backyard with a pool, could I leave it on my dog for months on end and keep the monitor on just as long as it's not going off, everything's okay? Or do batteries wear out, or how does that work?
No, okay, so with a child, there is a, you know, like a seat belt. You leave it on the child all the time, but then you're bathing the child.
Mm-hmm.
And they generally don't wash their own hands. We're talking about 1- and 2-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take it off when you bathe them. Now, in the case of a dog, you don't have that sort of uptake.
Mm-hmm.
You bathe the dog, you take the collar off. So the sensor stays in the collar. It probably is never removed. The collar is removed when you bathe the dog, and that's not too often. So basically the answer is yes, you leave it on. Now, if you're going away for a long time, I'd imagine you're not leaving the dog at home.
Yeah.
Or in the winter, you know, you might want to unplug the base station. But basically it stays plugged in, and the sensor's on the dog the whole time, you know, the pool's open or you're on the boat or whatever.
Very good. And this is good for people who, you know, obviously, you know, it was developed originally for children, no? For your children, to be specific.
Well, by the time it was developed, my children were beyond the benefit of it. But it was certainly based on the experience I had with my children, and in particular the experience I had with a good friend whose daughter, who's of 2, was under the pool cover for 20 minutes.
Oh, no.
And it was really pet owners who invented the application, because I didn't have a dog at the time. I, like everybody else, thought dog swim, this isn't an issue for dogs. But we noticed from our registration cards that a growing number of the people that were using this Safety Turtle were pet owners. And so we eventually created a strap for them so they could, that was more adapted to the collar of the dog. The same sensor, but a short Velcro strap that's very secure.
Sure.
And now we have a pet sensor, but it's really the same thing.
Well, there you go. And Bob, we do have to take a break here. Can you stick with us through the break?
Certainly, thank you.
Well, thank you, Bob. Now, it's Bob Lyons on the phone, the creator, the inventor of Safety Turtle, which is a really cool product that's going to help to keep your pets safe from pools coming up into the spring and summer here. Also, keep your kids safe from the pool as well. So we do have to take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about where you can get this great product. We're also going to talk about how much it is, obviously, and we're going to talk about some pet safety here and kid safety coming up into the spring and into the summer around that pool area. So stay with us. It's The Pet Project, the show your pet wants you to listen to, right here on CRN Digital Talk Radio.